Okay, we'll wait for Amby to come in the room and we'll let her rip. We're going to talk about it. We're good. We're going to talk about it though.
Okay.
Go ahead. You guys ready? Okay, we're good. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second installment of City Council for the month of July. Today is July the 16th. We will go ahead and begin our meeting with our traditional moment of silence before we move into the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Jack, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Once again, I want to welcome everybody. Thanks to Channel 3 for live streaming us and putting this on the internet. And as always, Callie, correct me if I'm wrong, but if folks have a question or a comment, they can buzz in on Buckhannon at buckhannon.wv.org. Callie will be monitoring that for us. We will entertain any questions or comments that come through that portal. So we were supposed to have a recognized guest this evening, Mr. Gifford with the Classic Wheels Car Club. I want to bring the council up to speed of some conversations I've had this week with Mr. Gifford. Jerry Arnold ran into him recently, and they were still planning to have their car show on Main Street on the 25th of this month, but in light of the governor's new mandates this week that were dropped on Monday afternoon, being that no fairs and festivals can operate at this time and events need to be kept to a 25-person maximum, they elected and we talked and we agreed that it would be best if they postpone their event. And so that he was going to speak with the car club about that. He agreed that it would be tough to have an event right now. 25 persons, that doesn't make for much of a high quality event. And so I promised him that we as a city government, we would be more than willing to work with him and the group to try to find them a good day in October, possibly. But I wanted to make sure that we reiterated to the club, and we reiterate to any group that, you know, we really need, everybody needs to abide by what the governor has put in place, and that includes wearing masks out and about in public areas as well as indoors and in stores. We really need to follow what's been said. We all are West Virginians together. Whether we live in Parkersburg or Beckley or Morgantown or here, we are West Virginians, and we need to follow what our governor has set forth. So if our state numbers, if they continue in the direction they're going, even in October, my conversation with Mr. Gifford is that we may just look at 2021. But if things are moving in a better direction and some of the mandates are dropped, then we would be happy to work with him and the car club for an event on Main Street, hopefully this fall. But I had great conversations with them. They we mutually agreed that it probably was just the best thing for all those concerned, that we just look to have a better quality event when things were a little bit different as far as what we're dealing with ongoing COVID-19. So Council, you'll see on your agenda, yes, Mr. Gifford was to be here. I asked him, I said, if you want to come and give that spiel, you're more than welcome to, but if you want to stay home and let me do it, I'll be happy to. So I told him that we would be absolutely happy to work with him should things improve, and we all can hope and pray that they do. So you'll also see on your agenda under F1, discussion possible action to revisit the blast from the past. We've just done that. If anybody has any comments or questions, we can talk about that if you do, but that's what you know what I know from speaking with Mr. Gifford and the Car Club, and I think we're both at a really good mutual point together to be partners.
I think too, Mr. Mayor, we may want to consider, I mean, it's not on the agenda now, but maybe for Consolidated Public Works Board to visit a new set of regulations for event scheduling or scheduled events already in our parks, particularly Jawbone. Maybe reach out to them and encourage them to consider rescheduling as well. Put a disclaimer in any future conversations that if you book a park, but the regulation changed from Charleston, that has to be applied to that event. So I think we just need to consider every option there. So maybe we could have that on the Consolidated Public Works agenda.
That sounds good, and that will take up next week,
right?
Next Thursday. So we can advance that with Teresa and Amby, and we can get that on the agenda. That's a good point, Randy. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to keep the citizens and business owners of our community as safe as possible, and we want to. These are not easy decisions to make on any front, whether it be from an organizational side or whether it be from our side. But it's our responsibility, and it's everybody's responsibility to watch out for neighbors and watch out for our fellow citizens to make sure that we're, acting in the most responsible way during a very, very challenging time for everybody.
I agree with you, Mayor, your actions that you've taken already for that.
Well, thank you. So if there's no other discussion on that, we will go ahead and get into department. Dennis?
Am I on the list to speak?
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Go over there. This may take 2 or 3 minutes. I want to give you a little history of myself, and then I'll give you my message. I was in the Navy from 68 to 72, worked on airplanes. I ended up with the air wing aboard Kennedy, the old Kennedy, for the 71-72 Med Cruise. While in the Med, I volunteered for Shore Patrol. Now, those of you who don't know what Shore Patrol is, you know what MPs are. The Navy doesn't use MPs, that's what the Marines are for. But when your ship is in a foreign port, they get volunteers if they feel they need it, and we did a few times. So I stood Shore Patrol in some of the ports in the north shore of the Med. I remember one night in Athens, the fleet was in the battle group, and race relations weren't real great back then, worse than they are now. But so some of the blacks got together and went downtown to the USO and tried to prevent whites from going in. My partner and I got pulled off our beat and taken down there. I don't normally talk about this, right? I gave out, well, all we had was a nightstick. And I gave out at least 2 full sets of lumps. I got 2 full sets in return, so we broke even. Got it under control. But that gave me a lot deeper insight to what police go through. I learned from it. And now here's my message. It is my intention to keep an eye on the officers, any officer of any department, when I'm out and about on the road or in the mall or anywhere. Not to interfere with them, not to find bad things about them, but to watch their six. Now, in military terms, that's what keep watching your back means. If you picture a clock, you got 12 o'clock, 3, 9, and 6 is behind you. So when you hear somebody say, I got your 6, that means they're watching your back. So I will watch the backs. I'll watch the officers, and if they get in trouble, I'll dial 911 immediately and get them more help. It's an extra set of eyes. I have no intention to interfere with their work. That wouldn't be right either. But I would like to say that our police deserve our defense and our, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Support?
Support, thank you. They deserve our support. And this is how I'm going to do it. If anybody else wants to do it this way, please don't interfere with them. But keep an eye on their 6, and if they get in trouble, call. Make that call. And that's what I got to say. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Department and board reports. First up is Callie Cronin-Sams, who is managing our very complex telephone system this evening. Callie, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, Mayor. I have my report in your packet, and just want to start out by, if you recall, Josh Trent is working with us this summer for an internship. He's a 5th-year MBA student with Westland, and he's doing a couple different projects, one of which is looking at our Riverwalk usage, and he put together a survey on SurveyMonkey. And in addition to that survey, also had him work up a very short survey. It's not really a survey, it's more of a poll for the street name contest. And that's New Street over by CVS. And that survey, the street name survey, is already up on our website, and I will be getting the Riverwalk survey up either this evening or tomorrow morning. And so I just want to encourage everyone to participate, take those surveys and share them, encourage others to take those as well. We had 50 nominations came in for the street name contest, and we narrowed those down to 5. And folks can go online and find those 5 names, read a little bit about them, and then rank them in the order they like the best, with their favorite at the top, of course. And then the Riverwalk survey is just looking at, a little information about who's using the Riverwalk, what they like about it, what they would like to see improved or lengthened. Also, what types of people and what times of day or time of year people are using the Riverwalk. We'll be able to incorporate that in our planning as well as in future grant applications. And I guess more on that later because I do have that in F2. But just wanted to thank Josh for working on those and let you know that those will be live on our website. One already is and the other will shortly follow. I've also been working on a draft of our infographic related to our city and utility boards, their funding, and the separation of funds. And then going down into Facebook and social media and our news postings, you can see the information that we got out recently, some just letting people know about street closures, that type of thing. Did a lot of sharing about the free COVID testing. We also shared a photo of the volunteers during that testing event, and that got a lot of views as well. We really appreciate everyone that volunteered to help that go smoothly. Really got a lot of views and a lot of appreciation for the beautiful photo that our mayor shared on the 4th of July with the 4th of July fireworks. So people really enjoyed that photo as well. Looking over what else we've got going on. Just a reminder that the buckhannon.wv.org COVID-19 webpage, that's linked to right through the front page, I continue to update that with COVID-related news and information, so you can check there for that. If it's something that's very important, I also add that under the news right on the front page. Then getting down into grants, we did submit our CARES Act application, our second one, well, third one technically, but our second one to the state, the first one going to the county, and for CARES Act funding to help get reimbursed for some of the extra additional unexpected expenses that have come along with COVID-19. We're also looking in future applications to look to see to apply for additional CARES Act funding to help cover the cost of employees who have had to go on quarantine if they have been in contact or exposed to a confirmed case, as well as the additional testing that we're doing for employees. Our past 5K routes is still underway. Been working with Jerry and Brad and Streets Department on that, and Create Buckhannon as well. Hope to get that project back up and going, as it was delayed a little bit with COVID taking priority. And Buckhannon Volunteer Center, they had a good fundraiser this past month with Stone Tower Brews, so appreciate Gabby working on that, and also sad to see her go, but she is leaving us for law school, so congratulations to Gabriella Sagard for getting into law school, and so she will be moving on for that soon. With the library, with their board meeting this week, they have some needs there that I'm going to be researching some grant opportunities for them as well. And then there at the bottom, you see we are still reminding people to go ahead and participate in this if they haven't already on our LED sign. And then I have the Aml Pilot Application to talk about, but that's also down in F2. So if you'd like, I can wait and we can talk about that once we get to that point of the agenda. And that's what I have, unless you have questions for me.
Is anybody opposed if we go ahead and talk about the AML grant while Callie's here with us?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Callie.
It's fine either way, and I do appreciate that, absolutely, but I'll probably, if you don't mind, if you don't kick me out, I'll stay on here to go to running.
Well, that's fine. You're the administrator, so we need you to stay.
Sure, absolutely. We can go down to F2, which is the application, the AML Pilot. That was for the extension of our Riverwalk trail system, both upstream and to the south, to the new trails at the high school, as well as the high school, the recreation park out there, and beyond to Hampton, and then in the other direction downstream and northward through the historic sites and the cemetery, Heavener Cemetery, Pringle Tree Park, and then culminating at the UCDA's property where there's another DNR access point at Hall. And then, of course, the other big component of it is the expansion of Starter. We have that nice capital campaign that's built up over $400,000, and so that would go as a match towards this grant application. And this will be our third time asking, so I did call once again and talk to contacts down with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, Ed McGuire, the environmental advocate, as well as Rob Rice, the chief of the Abandoned Minelands Division that administers this funding. It is federal funds through the Office of Surface Mining and Reclamation. And wanted to get their feedback once again. We did the same thing after last year. And the good news was that they said, when I asked both of them, that 2 separate conversations, they said there were no red flags with the previous application. So there wasn't anything like an ineligibility or something like that caused it to be, put aside. Wasn't anything like that. However, they just, Rob particularly said, we get, in this last round, I think they gave out about $25 million in funding, but they got requests for over $100 million in funding. And then on top of that, 80 to 85% of it at least goes to sewer and water projects. So the amount that's reserved for economic development and recreation and community development is very small. So it's just a highly competitive grant program. However, that was encouraging to know that once again, they did not see any red flags with ours. And so some of the additional feedback I received was just to focus on recreation and tourism. They keep stressing this tourism aspect of it. And so the other thought I had this time was maybe just reducing the length of the narratives, because I've sat as a grant reviewer myself, so if you have that many applications to review and you've got a number of them that are upwards of 10, 20, 30, 40 pages, that is really puts a little more difficulty on them time-wise. So I thought we could both reduce the length of the narratives and reduce the scope of the project as well, to make it just as concise, easy to digest as possible, and hopefully that will work in our favor. They did think that having the match that we have is a really big plus for us, so kudos to everyone that's worked on raising those funds, Liz Stockert, Youth, Deborah, and everyone else that's been involved, and all the contributors to that fundraising campaign. That has really been something that has caught their eye. And the other big thing that they mentioned was that as soon as we have our proposal together, to just really start promoting with the governor's office and the tourism division. And so I think Mayor had a great idea to possibly even maybe arrange a visit down and start promoting it in Charleston a bit too. So that is what I have on it, and there's additional information within your packet. I'll, I guess, not read the entire thing unless you'd like me to, or I can just take questions.
Any questions for Callie?
I think it looks good.
I think so too. I think Callie, you've done a wonderful job on it, and I think we've got a good I think we got a good plan moving forward with this. I do think more concise is better. So I'm inclined to entertain a motion that we go ahead and we accept, and we go ahead and submit the application for the AML Pilot 2020.
So moved.
We have a motion by CJ,
Second.
second by Pam.
Sorry.
Did you?
Yeah.
Man, the phone is hard to
It really is.
So if there's no further discussion on it, we will go ahead and entertain the ayes. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, please.
Aye.
I always forget about that. We've got everybody saying aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. I think we might have lost Councilman Thomas. He's trying to call me. So let's, Dave, are you there? He is not. So we're let's, yeah.
I can't take your call right this minute. Please call back.
Well, you called me twice, so. You gonna try to call him? Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
He's trying to call me, so somebody better try to call him.
Why is he calling you?
If he can stay on the phone, somebody could call him back.
Oh,
That's what I tell him all the time.
Well, we can't put in unanimous, but it was carried.
tell him to send us a text. I tell him all the time, I wish you could text.
I know. Talked to him earlier today.
Hey, did we lose you?
Yeah,
Okay, you're back.
trying to call in.
Did you fall asleep and hit the receiver?
What the hell happened?
I'm supposed to use curse words while the media's supposed
You want to
Nothing.
Okay, Dave, just to catch you up, Callie just finished giving us a rundown of the AML grant application for 2020.
report.
Okay, and we did pass that unanimously, so,
Good.
okay.
I wrote with it also.
Callie, do you have anything else relative to AML or to your report?
F3.
No, I do not. I think I am finished. We just had someone call in though, so I'll find out. If you just called in, if you could just, is that you, Pam? Did we lose you in your back?
Yeah, I lost you.
Okay, and I might just take the moment to, we are getting a little bit of feedback from, I think, maybe Pam and CJ, so if it's during a time when you're not speaking, it might help the folks in the council chambers if you're able to mute your phone there. I can mute you possibly, but I'm afraid if I do that, you won't be able to unmute yourself, so it might be easier if you on your
I'll mute.
I might lose you again. I'm getting a lot of static. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can't hear anybody else.
I can't really hear you. Phone me back.
No, yes, we can hear you.
I can't hear you though.
Oh.
Do you want to try
I
calling?
got a lot of. Call me back, please.
Dave,
We're gonna call you back.
I'm gonna call you on my phone, okay? We apologize.
Hello?
Okay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, the rest of you in telephone land, can you hear Thomas and can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I can hear now. I have no static now.
wonderful. All right. Okay. I feel like a classroom teacher. Okay, let's get back to it here. We've finished with Callie. Callie's going to stay on the line with us. We now are up to Public Works Director Jerry Arnold for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to run through this before we lose everybody.
Yeah.
Mayor Jay Holland, Brad Hawkins, and myself met with representatives from the hospital and residents at the site of the hospital emergency access road. The hospital's agreed to purchase the materials, and we will provide the labor to develop a single-lane, stone-based access to the hospital from Lincoln Heights. The access will be gated and locked, only to be used if Amelia Drive is blocked. I'm still working on the bid package for the concrete mixer and silo, and after my report, I'll get into a little bit of the savings that we can expect from that. I attended the Charles W. Gibson Library Board meeting to discuss recent facility assessment performed by Jay, Vince, Brad Hawkins, and Travis Carpenter that outlined several maintenance issues and upgrades needed. We'll be assisting the board with organizing the project and preparing construction documents. The street department crews completed about 800 feet on the Gateway West project. This is about 30% of the total project. We continued to trim trees, and we painted the parking stalls on Main Street. We'll be curb painting the next couple of weeks, starting downtown and around the college. The sewer department, Crew 1, Route 33 West North Side Sewer Line Extension, the crew's laid. And these numbers, I apologize, they've changed a little bit. Buck reported this evening at the meeting, so they went up a little bit since I typed this up. But about 1,025 feet of 10-inch pipe and set 3 manholes. On the 33 West Extension south side, the JF Allen side, JF Allen crews completed the sewer line, made the tie-in to our system. They laid a total of 3,233 feet of 10-inch pipe and 400 feet of 4-inch pipe, set 13 manholes, and we'll be doing the air and mandrel testing to finish that project up. Crew 2, sewer crew 2, completed about, the updated number from this evening's meeting is about 80% of the Zeno Street extension. The plant crew is hauling sludge, maintenance crews repairing street cuts, and Jared Holland, summer help, is GPS about 1,150 manholes at a 1-inch accuracy, and he added pictures for GPS shots. He corrected sanitary sewer base map and is preparing to locate storm sewer drop inlets. Again, since we got the new Trimble unit, that thing has been used daily to be identifying facilities within our infrastructure, and we will continue throughout even the winter months of identifying things, because just like for our ADA transition plan, we need to identify every curb ramp, we need to identify the conditions. I mean, we use it for street signs, we can use it, I mean, there's just multiple things. Anything you can imagine, you can GPS, of course. Eventually, I'd like to see us have all of the graves in Hebner Cemetery GPSed, and then if someone needs to know the location of a family member or someone, we can simply give them the coordinates to go to and get them very close to the, with this new unit. Like I said, the accuracy is just amazing on it. Water department, they changed meters at Meadowlands, installing the early warning monitoring system river components, and the contractor's still making repairs to the sediment basins. Jay has been working on the, continued to work on the U.S. EPA Risk Assessment Emergency Response Plan. The FEMA Generator Hazard Mitigation Grant 2, he's working on the specifications, drawing, design calculations, and preparing the preliminary version of the bid package required for the project. The Generator Grant 1 bid package is approximately 95% complete. ACP Water System Improvements Project, he's waiting on a response from Dominion's project manager as to the announcement of the recently canceled ACP gas line construction. Currently have over $6,400 of project-related monies that was earmarked for booster station startup and testing that may need to be returned to Dominion. And the Brushy Fork Water Line, West Virginia DOH Water Line Replacement Project, the storm sewer drainage system is currently being installed by the contractor, and no city-related work or services required for this phase of the project. That's all I have under my report, but I would just follow up with last meeting when we end the discussion about the concrete mixer. I was asked to put together just a simple cost-benefit analysis for the purchase of the concrete mixer, and I've run that out 5 years, and the number that we're looking at is we typically pour between 1,000 and 1,500 yards within the city of Buckhannon of all departments of concrete a year. So based on that, just an average of 1,200 yards a year. That's what this calculation is based on. So with that, non-recurring cost, of course, is your mixer, your silo, and your site development electrical service. It comes to about $180,000 over the course of 5 years. Your recurring cost, your cement, your stone, your sand, your fuel, your labor, your maintenance on the machine. Again, that comes out to about $644,000. Then we get into cost savings. Decreased cost of services provided. That would be the cost, our current cost of concrete that we're paying our vendor for per yard, or for the total. And we typically pay about a 7% increase yearly in that concrete. So that is projected in that number. Total for that material is about 1.2 million over the 5-year period. Savings from business process improvements. Now that number is a number that I've plugged in. We have a curve machine. We bought a used curve machine when Michael Dawes was here. And the problem we have with using it, we've had several trials on it, but the problem we have with using it was getting consistent nicks. One thing about the curve machine is you have to have exactly the right slump constantly. If not, you can't keep that curb standing up. It just falls over. So with this machine, we anticipate being able to control what we're getting for a consistent mix and to be able to utilize that curb machine more. Now that number could be 2 or 3 times what I projected there. But I see in use of the curb machine and the process being more efficient that we would save somewhere around $10,000 a year in just using the curb machine.
Would that be wasted of it, the materials when you're pouring that?
Do what?
What the savings in the $10,000 a year? What is that for?
That's just projected savings from changing some of our processes
Okay.
to eliminate some of the labor
Okay.
there, essentially.
Thank you.
Productivity gains, again, that relates back to being able to have concrete when you want concrete. Projected that during a given concrete period, using a 6-month kind of number to go with as our pouring season for concrete, that's projected man hours that could be used on concrete projects as opposed to they've got a couple hours in the afternoon that we couldn't get concrete, or they got the concrete early and they finished the concrete. So there's a couple hours in the afternoon that they're looking for something to do. That is that projected number, that $36,000. Total cost savings is about $1.4 million. The other benefits, which is, it's kind of hard to, and anybody that's ever worked on this knows, it's kind of hard to quantify some of the things, and it's, when it relates to your savings on the process, or just like with this, providing concrete to other departments, you know, that's got a benefit. The other one that I couldn't, I mean, I tried to come up with some sort of number to plug in was reduce liability for open utility cuts and repair time, because that is a number that could be catastrophic or could be minimal. We've had minimal issues with open street cuts, but again, I also remember the gas company a few years ago having a cut open on Florida Street, and a guy hit it and tore the whole front end off from under his car. That could be a catastrophic number if you plug that in. So I feel that this reflective is very conservative as far as what we could expect to save. But in the rundown, the first year, the net benefit is about $109,000. Over the course of the 5-year period, that benefit is about $667,000 over the course of 5 years that we could realize from the investment in this equipment. And Mayor, that's all I have unless there's questions.
It's a lot of information. It's good information.
Yeah.
We will review, and if I would suggest to council, if anybody has any questions for Jerry, contact Jerry anytime if you want to discuss it with him further. But I think this is a very thorough report that shows us, I think, the direction we need to go. So,
I think it justifies what we've been looking at.
yes, I agree.
And again, just as a matter of note, doing the numbers as before, whenever I was telling you that I could save about 50% of our concrete costs, batching our concrete ourselves, those numbers are pretty close to that. And there's a couple other facets that we can move into down the road that would further our savings by delivering our own materials as opposed to paying for trucking, things of that nature, that we've already got the equipment in-house to be able to do that. So there's other options available to save us even more down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Even the time wasted if they don't get there when you're ready for them to dump or bring in the materials. You've included a lot of those little things.
One of the things, and this is just one of the simplest things, is you schedule concrete. If we schedule concrete for 8 o'clock and our guys are ready to pour, they're waiting, and it doesn't show up till 8:30. You've got a 6-man crew standing there waiting a half hour on concrete, essentially. So that's the kind of things that plug into that $36,000 number.
Do you
Yes, sir.
bend and tie your own rebar?
Excuse me?
Do you bend and tie your own rebar?
Yes, whenever it calls for, when we're doing structural, like the structural wall down Trader's Alley, yes, we do our own bending and tying.
That's all.
Very good. Thank you, Jerry, for your report.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right. Amby Jenkins up next with our finances. Tell us if we have any money to spend.
Well, I talked to you about general fund and coal tax, all of the general fund-based finances last meeting, so I'm going to give you the enterprise balances on this meeting. This is for the fiscal year ending June 30th. Waste collection stood at $585,644 in money market and checking. The CD was $58,298. Water board, money market and checking, $171,050. And the CDs were $965,476. Sanitary board money market and checking, $702,326, and the CDs were $253,190, so we booked some interest on some of those CDs. My report's pretty short. I got a couple of items down strategic that we'll talk about later, but employees were able to meet with the insurance agents last week to ask any questions regarding their health insurance. Several employees showed up, and it went very well. The Police Civil Service Committee met last night. The police department's been taking applications for the to replenish the probationary officers list, and we got 19 applications, and they reviewed them and accepted all of them. So those will go on to the testing phase of the procedure. The Fire Civil Service Commission will meet next week to consider replenishing the fire eligibility list, and then it's kind of the same process as the police department. Take applications, review them, and go on to testing. The audit for the city of Buckhannon for the year ending 6/30/19 is in its draft stage. I'm reviewing it now, and I'm going to ask the auditors to attend the meeting via GoToMeeting at the next council meeting, so for their exit conference for any questions that you might have. I'll get you all a copy of the audit before that meeting, so you'll have time to review and ask any questions. Couple more items. This is actually for a message for Pam Caperi. And Matt, this is for your officers, Officer Angel McCauley and Sergeant Tom Posey. Kay Sinkowitz called me and wanted me to be sure to pass on the message that she truly thanked them for saving her life. They evidently went to her home, and she was having some health issues, and they got there in a good amount of time and were able to save her life, and she wanted me to pass that on. The other item is, I got this good news this morning. Our sales tax revenue came in for the report of the sales tax revenue for the period of taxes collected from April the 1st. Buckhannon going to receive $451,640.24. That is much more than we expected it was going to be. We are very happy about that, so we can...
Very, very happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Let's do a happy dance.
So those are the things.
$678,000 for the first 2 quarters.
I only caught part of that, Dave.
Pardon?
What was that?
That's $678,000 then for the
Yes,
first 2 quarters?
yes.
That's great.
Yes. So